Welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riancho, and it's Monday. Time to look ahead to Week 4, make some win-loss picks for every game. But before we do that, I need to own up to last week's record, where I am not doing well this season. I'm back to 500, 7-7 so far through the first 14 games. We have 2 games tonight between the Bills and Jags. I took the Bills to win. I also took the Bengals to beat the Commanders, and I think I'll go 9-7. But who knows? There might be another shocking upset. The Jags could win. They've won the last 2 against Buffalo, but I think I'll be okay. And the only reason I'm not really upset about this is because you guys also went 7-7. You guys completely agreed with me on every single one of these games. I thought I would at least deviate with the Colts or the Chargers, but nope, we saw eye to eye on every single one of these games, and we both went 7-7. You guys collectively were wrong wherever I was. So here's a quick recap on all the games we've witnessed. The Jets manhandled the Patriots. They won in dominant fashion. The Giants, wow, very impressive win. The Browns had no answer for Malik Neighbors. Maybe they should have put Denzel Ward on him all game long instead of just at the end. So really weird decisions from Cleveland. Maybe they're just trying to get Deshaun out of the building, but Myles Garrett also got hurt. That was not good. The Browns lost. The Packers won pretty comfortably. Malik Willis looks fantastic against his older team. The Matt LaFleur coaching job deserves some credit. But in Indianapolis, the Colts did hold off the Bears. The Bears offense started to get going finally, but not enough. Caleb made some mistakes, and Jonathan Taylor was just too much. That's exactly what I said would be the case. But in Minnesota, the Vikings did beat the Texans, and at this point, we have to give Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell some credit, but also some credit to Brian Flores. They held Houston to only 1 touchdown. Maybe it was just the fact that Joe Mixon wasn't there, but the Vikings home crowd is a nightmare, a big home field advantage for Minnesota. So really impressive. They're 3-0, and probably no one expected that entering the season. But the Saints did lose to the Eagles. They held the Eagles to 15, but their offense was terrible. Rashid Shaheed put up a bagel, and I was kind of shocked that even without A.J. Brown, the Eagles got the win. Their defense looked pretty solid. The Chargers lost. I think it would have been extremely close within a field goal if Herbert had stayed healthy, but once he got hurt, once Heineke was the quarterback, there was no chance at all. The Steelers won by 10. But probably the biggest upset on the week, the Broncos really controlled this game from the jump. They were up 14-0 in the first quarter, and the Bucs only put up 7 points. You could have called it over if the Broncos took every possession off on offense moving forward. So, wow, that one was shocking. Only 4% of the poll was on the side of Denver. And that's enough to just be like the trolls that are just doing it for the sake of being contrarians. Like, almost nobody actually thought the Broncos would win. So very impressive from Denver, very impressive from Carolina as well. I almost made the pivot late in the week and said, the Panthers have a shot here. I kind of want to pick them to win, but I did not. I did not have the guts to do that, and Andy Dalton looked fantastic, over 300 yards. Deontay Johnson was phenomenal. The Raiders have no run game at all. Like, holy shit, what do they even offer on the ground? That's supposed to be their identity with Antonio Pierce. So what is going on? The Raiders are just like complete flukes. They beat the Ravens and then they lose to the Panthers. So what are you getting from them? Not anything to feel confident about. The Seahawks completely torched the Dolphins. Once Tim Boyle took over, there was no shot at all. The Ravens did take care of business. They did beat the Dallas Cowboys, and that's what I expected. Thought it would be closer, but the Cowboys made it interesting. At the end, it did come down to about a field goal. But the Niners lost to the Rams. Wow. That one was a big, shocking upset. And I know the Niners were injured themselves. No Debo, no McCaffrey, no Kittle. But the Rams are so depleted offensively. That was an insane victory by them. So, congratulations to Stafford and McVay. They found a way to steal a victory here, and the Niners are probably going to bounce back tremendously next week against the Patriots. But kudos to the Rams. I did not see that coming at all. The Detroit Lions won decent win on the road at Arizona. but their offense still has not gotten going, like still not more than 20 points in regulation from Detroit. That's not what we expected coming into the season. But the Chiefs did take care of business. They did win on Sunday night. The Falcons just did not have enough answers at the end of the game. So we went 7-7 so far. We'll see if we can up that to 9-7 with 2 wins on Monday. But as of this recording, those games have not kicked off. So we'll see what happens. But my overall record this season is 23-23. Your guys is 27-19. And you do have 4 more games correct than I do. So I need to start getting back on track. I need to start pivoting and make some less obvious picks. I don't want to be completely lockstep with you guys every single week. So that's what happened in week 3, and my picks against the spread were atrocious. I went 1-4. The only one that was right was the Packers plus 1.5. They were underdogs this time last week, and that's kind of shocking, but they at least put me on the board. I was dead wrong about the other ones. The Patriots did not cover. I thought it would be closer, and it was not. Patriots sucked. The Chargers had no chance once Herbert got hurt, so that one was an X. The Saints lost by 3 points, and they only got plus 2.5, so nope. That did not work out for me. And then the Niners were favored by more than a touchdown. They lost this game straight up, so that one was a terrible pick. 1-4 brings my overall record to 3-11-1. I am terrible against the spread so far this season, and I get it if you want to completely throw out what I have to say. But let's move on to week 4. You know, it's a new week. There's a new chance to get things right. And here are my picks for this week. On Thursday, I think a very straightforward game. The Cowboys, I think, will win over the Giants because they are 13-1 in their last 14 games. The last 7 years have heavily favored the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup. So I think Daniel Jones will make some mistakes, too many turnovers. Last week was a bit of a shock, but maybe Malik Neighbors is legit. It might be closer than some people expect, but after 2 home losses for Dallas, I think they get right here against a team they normally dominate. So I will take the Cowboys. I think they win on the road over the Giants. In Atlanta, though, the Saints are going to make this very interesting. This has actually been a heavily favored matchup in favor of New Orleans. The Saints are 10-3 in their last 13 games against the Falcons, and a lot of time they do win on the road. So I will take the Saints. I think the Falcons offense still leaves a lot to be desired until Kyle Pitts actually gets going. I just don't totally trust them, and if it wasn't for like one good drive against the Eagles, this team would be 0-3. There's not like a ton of like confidence I have in the Falcons at this point, honestly. So I am going to still believe in the Saints as like a legit, at least 500 team. That's what they were last season. And I think it'll be a very close matchup here. I'm going to go with the road team. I think this series will be split, but I think both road teams get the win. And I think at this point in time, the Saints have showed me a little bit more than what the Falcons have. I trust their offense a little bit more. So I think Kamara will be the difference. If Kyle Pitts can finally get going, then maybe I'll feel more confident in Atlanta. But until that happens, I don't fully trust them. I will go with the road team. I'll take the Saints in this one. In Chicago, though, this game is a true toss-up. However, I think most people will take the Rams after last week's win. It makes sense. They have the better coach, the better quarterback, and they did just beat the Niners, definitely a better team than the Bears. But that game was at home, a massive rivalry, like a ton of emotion in that one. That game was so important for their chances to have any shot in the division and even make the playoffs. So I am kind of not buying it. I kind of genuinely worry about the Rams offense moving forward, especially if Kupp is still out. I really don't trust any of their receivers, and the Bears can probably focus on Kyren Williams and shut him down a little bit more than last week. I think Williams will still probably score a touchdown, but the Bears' run defense up until last week against Taylor had been really good dating back to last year. So I think they will step up. I think at home, the Bears crowd also gives them a little bit of a boost. However, I really love what I saw from Rome Odunze last week. If he can continue to step up, if he looks good moving forward, then the Bears have some firepower on offense. I understand they have no run game whatsoever, but I worry about the Rams secondary a little bit. they have had some vulnerable corners so far. I mean, Juwan Jennings just torched them for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. So maybe they'll limit DJ Moore like they limited Ayuk. However, I do think Rome Odunze could have an excellent game here. I also think the Bears defense will step up. I still think they're one of the top 10 defenses in the league. I think they will look elite sooner or later. So I'm going to call probably an upset here. I realize the Bears are actually favored in this one according to the point spread, but I feel like most people are going to be on the side of the Rams. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys agree with me, but I'm actually going to go with Chicago. It's a true toss-up. I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think either team scores more than 21, 24 points. Like, that's the max. And I think the Bears defense will score maybe a pick six, maybe a fumble recovery. They're going to have a massive turnover that swings this game in their favor. I could be wrong here, but I'm going to go with Chicago. I'll take the Bears because I think the light turned on for Rome Odunze, and that's what this offense needs to get going. So give me Chicago. I don't feel great about it, but I'll take the home team in this one. In Green Bay, though, this is another toss-up. Could really go either way. The Minnesota Vikings on the road at the Packers, probably going to come down to the health of Jordan Love. If you told me that Love is healthy, I'll probably go with Green Bay, but I think they might hold him out one more time. I think after 2 games they didn't expect to win, probably, there's no reason to rush Love back if he is truly very injured. So I think they might roll with Malik Willis just to give Love some more time. And this matchup is actually dead even over the last 15 games. Both teams have a 7-7 and 1 record. There has also been a tie in this matchup in the last 15 matchups. So I really think it's a coin flip here. The Vikings have looked extremely impressive. So have the Packers. And while I did think the Packers were the better team entering the year, I can't tell you that with like outright confidence that that is exactly what is the case with the Green Bay Packers. Like, the Vikings just look so good. They beat the Niners. They beat the Texans. I really like what I'm seeing from Minnesota, and this game means a lot. They also lost in embarrassing fashion the last time these two teams played. The Packers won 33-10 in Minnesota. So I worry about Jair Alexander shutting down Justin Jefferson, but what I really like is the thought of Aaron Jones getting some revenge against the team that let him go. So I think that's the difference here. I think Aaron Jones will pop off, and we might see Jordan Addison healthy once again. That would also help Minnesota. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think there's an upset here. The Vikings are a team I don't really want to bet against, and I know they don't have the home field advantage in this one, but I think after that embarrassing loss last year, they play well, and they feel really confident. I'm sure they want to win the division as well as make the playoffs. They feel like a very good contender to at least be a wild card team, and I like what I'm seeing from Minnesota. I think they will go 4-0. I'm going to take the Vikings. If you told me Jordan Love plays, I might pivot, but I think I'm going to stick with Minnesota. He's not 100%, and I love what I'm seeing from the Vikings so far. Give me the Vikings over the Packers, regardless of Jordan Love's status. In Indianapolis, though, I will be taking the Steelers over the Colts. The Colts just don't feel trustworthy yet. Richardson is making too many mistakes, and I know Jonathan Taylor looked great last week. They should lean on him more, but the Steelers defense is just rolling right now, and their schedule is so difficult at the end of the year. I think they know very well they need to rack up wins early on in the season to have any shot. They have so many tough matchups later on after the Week 9 bye. So I will take Pittsburgh. I think they are the better team. Their defense really steps up. And even on the road, I think they get the job done. Richardson just makes too many mistakes, but maybe I'm wrong because last year they had no answer in this matchup against the run. Even Trey Sermon was able to run all over the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I am a little bit worried about Taylor in this matchup, but give me Pittsburgh. I think they get the win. I think they are the better team. Give me the Steelers at this point in time. But the Jets, I think, get the win comfortably over Denver. I know Denver shocked us beating the Bucs last week, but I don't think the Jets will completely overlook them like the Bucs probably did last week. They also get a mini bye to prepare. It's a veteran roster that needs the rest. I think it will benefit them tremendously. And Breece Hall has owned this matchup over the last 2 years against Denver. In each of the games, Breece Hall has a 50-plus yard house call against the Broncos. So love Breece Hall in this one. I think he will go off, and there will be no answers for the run game. The Jets win comfortably. The Bucs, though, host the Eagles, and a bit of a rivalry here. They've faced each other consistently in the playoffs the last several years, and I think the Bucs win again. The Eagles probably don't have AJ Brown again, and Devontae Smith is in the concussion protocol, and they only put up 15 points on the Saints. I think Hurts makes too many mistakes. He has been turning it over, and on the road, I will go with Tampa. They just got embarrassed by the Broncos, and I think they are a better team. I think they'll play very well. They probably looked ahead to this matchup in the first place. So give me Tampa. I think they'll have some answers, and the Eagles secondary will not against Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Baker, I think, will be going off in the passing game. So give me Tampa here at home. I think they are the better team to bet on. In Carolina, very interesting game for Andy Dalton, a revenge spot against his former team that drafted him. The Bengals come into town, and I am not going with the Panthers. I do trust the Bengals. It'll probably be a closer game than we expected last week, but I do still trust Cincinnati, especially with T. Higgins healthy. I think it's just too much to overcome. The Panthers have looked decent against the pass over the last several years, but not against the run. And I think Zach Moss also might go off in this one. So give me the Bengals. They started 0-2. I think they'll get back to 500. 2-2 when this game is over. The Bengals win on the road. In Houston, though, the Texans take on the in-division rival Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jags are probably going to be 0-3 entering this game. Very desperate spot for Jacksonville, and that's what makes me worried. The Texans without Mixon did not look good last week. Their offense was terrible, and I know they're coming back home. Probably a good bounce back spot here, but the Jags have actually won both of the last two games in Houston over the last 2 years. So I think these teams split the series. I still think Jacksonville is close to a 500 team. I think they will look better soon enough, but I think this is the game where they get back on track, and in division, it's just so important. Those games can always be random and anything can happen. So I will take Jacksonville in upset fashion here. I worry about Mixon not being healthy, and I also think Brian Thomas is phenomenal. I think Brian Thomas will really give them some problems. ETN and Tank Bigsby will offer some help in the run game as well. So a low-scoring game, very close one. I'm probably going to differ from most of you guys on this one. I get it if you think I'm wrong, but I will take Jacksonville in upset fashion on the road against Houston. I'm leaning into the last 2 years where the road team wins this matchup. So give me the Jags. I'll take Trevor Lawrence to get his first win of the season. But in Arizona, the Cardinals host the Commanders, and the Commanders secondary is just so trash. I don't think they have any answers for Marvin Harrison Jr. Even if Trey McBride is still in the concussion protocol, I will go with Kyler Murray. They lost to Detroit, but it was kind of close. They had a shot late, but I don't think they'll lose again. I think it'll kind of look like that Rams game where they owned their opponent, especially on offense. The Cardinals should control this one pretty comfortably. Give me Arizona over Washington. But in San Francisco, probably the most obvious pick of the week, the Niners will demolish the Patriots. They lost last week in kind of an embarrassing come from behind win for the Rams. But the Patriots have no weapons on offense. I know it's a long week for them, a mini bye, but the Niners will definitely bounce back. The Niners win by at least 15 points here. It's going to be a well over a 2-score lead when this game is over. But the Raiders host the Cleveland Browns, and I have no confidence in the Browns if Myles Garrett is out. The quarterback situation is terrible. I know there's no run game for Las Vegas, but Amari Cooper might not even be healthy. And without him, what do you have to feel confident about for the Browns? So Raiders, not a great team, but did beat the Ravens, kind of got embarrassed losing to the Panthers last week, and Pierce has been calling out some players in terms of their effort. So I will go with Las Vegas. I think they bounce back, and I think they get the desperate win here against the Browns. I do not trust Deshaun Watson. But in LA, the Chargers have no shot against the Chiefs if Herbert is not 100%, and he might not play in this one. I would not be surprised if they hold him out. They have a week 5 bye. You need him healthy to have any chance long term. So I will go with Kansas City comfortably. Travis Kelce owns this matchup, and although the Chargers play them tough, they usually are a lot closer to victory, or at least closer to tying in the Chiefs stadium. So I don't think it happens. Mahomes has owned SoFi Stadium and he'll own it again. The Chiefs win on the road at the Chargers. But in Baltimore, very good game here. The Ravens host the Bills, and I think the Bills will be 3-0 entering this game. The Ravens a little more desperate at 1-2. So I'm going to go with the more desperate team here. I think the Ravens do win. It'll be very close. It could definitely go in favor of Josh Allen, but I think the Ravens defense is just so desperate right now. It's at home as well. The crowd will be in their favor. And I love Lamar Jackson's upside. In primetime, he always steps up. So give me Baltimore. I don't think they have any answers for the run game of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry has always played Buffalo very, very tough. So give me Baltimore to get the win. Derrick Henry is the difference. But on Monday, we have another 2 games as well, and I think the road team wins both of them, especially in Miami. I have no confidence in the Dolphins with Tim Boyle. Skylar Thompson has a rib injury, and Tua is on IR. They have no shot with Tim Boyle. So give me the Titans. I think their defense is legit. And yeah, maybe Will Levis makes some mistakes, but they actually beat the Dolphins in Miami last year as well. I think they can do it again. DeAndre Hopkins finally looks healthy. Give me the Titans on the road. And then in upset fashion, I'm going to take the Seahawks over Detroit. The Lions offense is not something I fully trust right now. Last year, they put up 30 points like clockwork almost every single week. The Lions have yet to score more than 20 in regulation. It took overtime against the Rams to go over 20 points on the scoreboard. So I know that they finally found out their rhythm last week. They almost had 40 rush attempts, and their identity is to run the ball. They probably will do that a lot moving forward. But I don't trust their offense in the passing game. Jared Goff has been making some mistakes. Laporta is not 100%, and he has not gotten going. Jamison Williams was shut down last week against the Cardinals, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is also not fully healthy either. He is a little bit banged up at the end of the day. So I worry about that. The Seahawks have looked really good on defense, and their offense has some weapons as well. And that's why I'm calling upset here. Not only do I trust them a little bit more, I know their wins haven't been against anyone impressive. The Broncos, the Patriots, and the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson. But I think they're legit. I think they have some confidence. JSN has looked really good. At least 2 weeks ago he did. Metcalf is looking great. And maybe Kenneth Walker comes back healthy for this matchup. So I like their roster. The quarterback I don't think is like that big of a difference. I definitely prefer Goff, but he could make some more mistakes. And I think the Seahawks find a way. The Seattle Seahawks are actually 9-1 in their last 10 games versus Detroit. And I know a lot of that is while the Lions were terrible, but still 9-1 is something, and they won this game last year in overtime. So going to be a close one, but I think the Seahawks win outright. The Lions offense is still not firing on all cylinders. So give me Seattle, a bit of an upset here, but I'm trusting my gut, and I'm taking a lot of road teams this week to win. So these are my win-loss picks for week 4. I'm taking the Cowboys on the road over the Giants, the Saints on the road over the Falcons, the Bears barely at home over the Rams, the Vikings on the road regardless of Jordan Love's health status. I'll take the Vikings in this one. The Steelers on the road over the Colts. Richardson makes too many mistakes. The Jets at home over the Broncos. Breece Hall owns them. The Bucs at home. The secondary for the Eagles will not have any answers for Tampa. The Bengals on the road over Carolina. Andy Dalton will not get his revenge. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the road over the Texans. They do miss Joe Mixon. The Arizona Cardinals at home over the Commanders. Marvin Harrison Jr. will dominate. The Niners at home over the Patriots, a big bounce back win for San Francisco. The Raiders over Cleveland at home. Deshaun Watson, just not good enough. The Chiefs definitely on the road over the Chargers with Herbert banged up. The Chargers do not have a chance. The Ravens at home, they're the more desperate team. They beat the Bills in Baltimore. The Titans will beat Tim Boyle on the road in Miami. And lastly, the Seahawks will beat Jared Goff on the road. Their defense will step up, and their offense also gets it going. So that is it for my win-loss picks. Let me know where you disagree in the comment section below. I hope we do not agree on everything this week. I also give you 5 picks against the spread, and My track record has been bad so far, so I get it if you don't believe me on any of these, but I will take the Jags to win straight up. They are 5.5-point underdogs. I like this point spread. Give me the Jags to at least keep it to within a field goal. I think they win straight up at the last second, but I will take the Niners to win comfortably. I think they win by at least 10 points. The line is currently 9.5, favoring San Francisco. They will probably win by at least 14, if not 20, but the Seahawks, I think, will win straight up. And at the moment, their underdogs are getting +4, and I love that line. They might lose by a field goal, but even +4, I will take Seattle to cover. I will take Tennessee to win outright. I think this line will shift in their favor soon enough. They're 1.5-point underdogs, and I think they can beat Tim Boyle. Their secondary has looked pretty good. Their defense is not the problem. It's just a question of will Levis make too many mistakes. And then lastly, the Broncos are underdogs by 7.5 points. That extra half point has me interested. I think the Jets will win, but I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were against the Patriots. I think both teams are close to 500 this season, and I think it will come down to less than a touchdown. The Broncos did shock the Bucs last week, so give me the Broncos as underdogs. I think they will keep it to within a touchdown, and they're getting 7.5. So those are my picks this week. The Jags +5.5, the Niners -9.5, the Seahawks +4, the Titans +1.5, and the Broncos +7.5. Some underdogs this week. Underdogs have been playing well so far, but last week I was on the wrong side of it. I need to get right. Wish me luck. I'm hoping to go 4-1 this week. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you next time. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. My name is Adam Riancho. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.